Welcome to Adobe Live, and I'm so glad to be back here online with all of you here from the community, and of course our wonderful guest Monika Gause today. And we'll learn about Monika in the coming 90 minutes today, and we will be talking mainly about Adobe Illustrator and the Appearance panel, which is very close to my heart because I think it is one of the most powerful tools in the Illustrator toolset. Monika, welcome to Adobe Live. How are you today? And it appears that Monika is... I'm not hearing Monika.
Hi, Rufus.
Oh, there you are. Hello. But you are unmuted.
Yes, sorry. I had some sound problems, but solved them.
Well, anyway,
I plugged in something I shouldn't have plugged in. So.
that always happens in the times of Zoom meetings and online conferences and things like that. This stuff happens. So welcome to Adobe Live. And just for those of you in the chat, if you're having difficulties writing into the chat, I know there's like some little gremlins around the Adobe Live chat today, and they're reaping havoc. So let's see if the chat works. But I will also be looking at the chat in YouTube just in case I'm missing any of your questions to Monika. So Monika, why don't we start with you and just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do, and why do people call you the Illustrator Queen?
Well, I'm a graphic designer, just a graphic designer. And 15 years ago, I started writing books about Illustrator, and I just wanted to try that out. But then, well, something happened, and yeah, it just.
And what happened?
It just, Illustrator is now possessing me somewhat. So everything took off. And I engaged in talks, mostly online in forums, and dived into it more and more and more and more. And yeah, wrote a little more about Illustrator and talked to people. Yeah, and that's where we are.
Okay, I missed my internet connection is unstable. Ooh, this is so great. Let me see if I can turn off some things here and get this thing started. I told you today is really Gremlins Day. But anyway, so tell us a little bit more about your book. Since when did you start with that book?
I started that in 2005, I think. It was published in 2006, and it's in the 8th edition now. It's a German book on Illustrator, 800 pages. It grew to that volume over the years, and I'm writing a new edition about every 2 or 3 years, something like that.
Okay.
It's independent from the Illustrator releases now.
Okay, so basically every 2 or 3 years, you're adding everything that's new in the past 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
and
that's it.
We're going to be talking about the Appearance panel today. Do you remember the exact year when the Appearance panel appeared in Illustrator?
That was when I wasn't really using it. So I started using Illustrator in version CS2, and the Appearance panel was introduced, I think, in version 9.
In Illustrator 9.
In Illustrator 9, yeah.
Okay, and that puts it like into what? Into the 90s somewhere?
End of the 90s, I think. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
And this is the really fun fact, is that many people here will probably never have seen or used the appearance panel, but today we will be changing that, right?
Yeah, I hope we will be changing that, because the appearance panel is very mighty and also a lot of fun. So once you get the hang of it, then you can't stop. So
awesome.
You start using it, and then it sucks you in. Yeah. So you live in it.
We all become possessed, like you.
Yeah. Yeah. Really.
So Monika, what is? I mean, we have 90 minutes today, so we can really go into the depths of the appearance panel. What is your plan for today? What can our audience expect?
My plan is this one. So I sketched this, and what I want to do is build this using just one anchor point. So.
Mm-hmm. Do you have examples of just to give people a sense of what that means, like with one anchor point?
Building stuff using one anchor point, yes, of course. So we can take a look at this one. This year I took part in 36 days of type and built all those letters using just one anchor point. So what this looks like is like window appearance, and there are all the appearances. So there are a lot of fills, and then of course effects in it, and some have more and some have fewer. So this has a little more appearances, and yeah, that's.
So can you just change the preview just to show this one point for each letter?
Oh yeah, there's just one point.
So,
let's go into outline view. That's outline view.
Like the outline view, and all the points are so well organized. Wow.
Somewhat.
Yeah. Yes.
I didn't center the drawing around the point. You could do that, but no,
that will be a little bit over the top.
That would be really too much. So
okay.
So this one has really a lot of fills and strokes and effects and stuff like this. So
very cool. Yeah, how to confuse colleagues, says Stuart. By the way, hello everyone in the chat. I'm just going to go very quickly through the chat here. I see that Sean is there, Yumacorn, Emma is here as well, Sandrine, Laura, Gareth, Michelle, Stuart. Welcome to the chat, and yes, and don't hesitate to ask questions to Monika, because she will be literally blowing our minds today with this one point. And you're right, that's very good for confusing colleagues.
Yeah, just confusing everyone. So I have to use the trackpad here, and I'm not very good at that. But the good thing is I won't need it. So the only thing I will do with a tool is now to set the anchor point like this. So, and then we have it. So let's go into the appearance panel, which is this one, window, and then appearance. And this here is a path. So the appearance panel tells you what you have selected, or rather what you have targeted, because there's a difference between selection and targeting. In order to apply appearances to something, you need to target it. So the appearance panel tells me I have a path. It has just one point, but it's still a path. And it has the default appearance applied, which is a stroke of 1 point and a fill, a white fill, and just the normal opacity. So there's the normal and 100% opacity. That's what's applied by default. And we will change that somewhat. So we need some shapes in here, and I'm going to build this in 3D mostly. So let's use the fill that is there to build this cylinder, which is the easiest part of it. So I will change the color. I can do that in here, and let's just get it somewhat like this, some dark green. And this point, it's just a point. It's not visible. So at first I need a shape, and this is the first thing I have to do for every stroke and every fill in order to make it visible. So to use this, we need the effects, and the effects are down here, or they are up here, the same effects. So there's one thing I need to do, because I'm working with the new 3D effects. I'm going to check the raster effect setting and set this to a low value in order to not make the rendering time too long. So it's 72, and that's okay. So let's get the shape, and in order to get the shape, I need to convert to shape, and we need an ellipse here. And now here's the first interesting thing. I can set an absolute or relative size. So I'm going to use absolute. We will see this absolute and relative a few more times, and I can show you some interesting things you can do with it. But let's stick with the absolute here. And
what's the difference between, choosing absolute or relative in this case?
Absolute makes absolute values. So if I choose to make a graphic style out of this and apply this to a different object, then the sizes will stay exactly the same.
Okay, understood.
When you do relative, then the size depends on the size of the base object. When you have one anchor point, it doesn't matter. But if I choose to apply this appearance to a rectangle or something, then it would change. So here we have a circle now. And based on that circle, we can do other things now. And in order to get the cylinder, of course, I need to extrude and bevel. And let's see the next thing about the appearance panel. You can highlight things in here. I can set a highlight here or here, and I can set a highlight here. And I leave the highlight up here. And then let's go to 3D Classic and extrude and bevel it. So it can't, because there's an error. Okay, so let's see if I just do that, and you see it gets applied down here. That is the standard location for extrude and bevel. Effects can be down here, and they can be somewhere else as well. I'm going to select this one, and let's move it up here. And you see now it does something, because now it's where the fill is. So where we have the ellipse, the 3D effect, of course, needs a shape in order to do something. So let's rotate it somewhat, and let's make it slightly longer. So we get this nice cylinder, and that's it. I'm not going to introduce perspective, because it's not a 3D world that I am building. So in order to adjust the perspective, that would be very tedious. So I leave that alone. And it's okay here. So that's the next place where we could have effects. They can be inside the fills. And they can also be at another place. And let's select the convert to shape again. If I have the path highlighted, and then go to convert to shape, whatever, rectangle. Then you see it gets applied up here. So that's the next place where effects can be. And you have seen that 3D gets applied by default at the bottom, and the convert to shape gets applied by default at the top, because it only makes sense to have it at the top. There's an order in the appearance panel. So when you have the object, the path, then the effects get applied in the order of appearance. So you have something that is directly above the strokes. It's the first thing that gets applied. And you have something down here, it's the last thing that gets applied. So after you have all the strokes and fills, then there might be some effects. And that is the order. And then as well, we have a stacking order. And that one, we can see if I highlight this stroke, and then let's apply an effect to it. Let's convert it to a rectangle, just so. And we need to set that. And now actually we should see it, but we don't. There it is. So you see there's also a stacking order. So we have the green cylinder in the back and the stroke in the front. So like in the layers panel, you read the stacking order of the fills and strokes from the bottom to the top, which is somewhat irritating. You know, the effects are applied from top to bottom, and the stacking order is from bottom to top. But we can deal with that. So
let's not get confused now.
No, let's not get confused. Let's just
a quick question. Can you rename these in the appearance panel, or it's not like layers?
No,
or
it's not like layers. They are just stroke or fills, depending on what you apply. So you cannot give them names, which can be really, really, really confusing. If you are building something like that has many of the same things. So I have built that number 2, and it has all these white and black things. And in order to move this one slightly to the right, you have to first find it. So if you build something like that, I would recommend making them first just colored and applying the final color in the last step in order to find them while you're working at it. But we won't need it for this locomotive. So let's apply those nice rivets at the front, and I'm going to make them in gold. And I need to convert this to an ellipse, and also make it slightly larger, like so. And then make a dotted stroke. So in order to get all these circles that I need for this, I'm going to use dots on a stroke. And in order to make dots, of course, you need a dashed line and then the gap, and delete all these other ones, like so. They won't vanish. Okay. So now we have dots, and make this slightly larger. And of course, make them evenly spaced. And like so. And now I'm going to use one of the new 3D effects. because the inflate effect will make this really, really easy.
And there's a new gizmo there as well to move things around.
To move things and adjust them. And this seems to be really, really demanding. So I'm not sure if that's that might just get slightly.
Okay. Does it maybe have like a high resolution in the rendering?
It's turned off, so the ray tracing is off. Everything off, so that can't be it. No depth and slightly less volume. Okay. And then let's see that we can adjust this, but okay, like so.
So of course, you know, like all of these things that Monika is doing right now, if you take them piece by piece, they can be very useful to create whatever graphic you're thinking about. So whether, you know, it's to create a 3D cylinder or a cube or a sequence of you know, of balls floating like this, you know, you can take all of these as inspiration to do your own designs. You know, of course, like creating this 1 point graphic is not something that you would do on a daily basis, but all of the steps that Monika is taking are very useful to understand the appearance panel and to learn how to work with it.
That's the thing. The reason to do this with one anchor point is just because you can. It's possible to do it, and yes. So you do it. But what you learn from it can be used in useful things.
And Gareth is saying, "Save, Monika, save."
Yeah, it's a cloud document, so it will get saved, but I can do it. So what makes this so kind of senseless is I cannot just grab this and move it to where I want it to be. So in order to move it, I need to use a very useful effect, transform. And the transform effect pushes this now where I need it to be. So I'm going to move it horizontally, like so, and a little bit down, like so. And that's it. Okay, there it is. And now to the next thing, which is the star. And the star is interesting as well. So we're going to need a new stroke for this. And in order to get new strokes or fills, what you can do is use this button to duplicate whatever you have and also duplicate the effects applied. Or you can use this button, create a new stroke or a new fill, and this is a clean one. It doesn't have any effects. So I'm going to use that one. And to create a star, I can use arrowheads. So let's use an arrowhead. And the weird thing about the arrowheads is actually they wouldn't need an object, but they do. So what I need to create now is another circle. Let's take a circle. And in order to make this go faster, I'm going to hide that stroke with the 3D effect because it's just too much for the computer to handle. So let's make the arrowhead visible by converting it to an ellipse. And there we have the arrowhead. I don't need the ellipse. I just need that arrowhead. And again, it needs to be transformed. It needs to be up like so. And then we can use it to make the star. What it also might need to do, it might need to get a little smaller. So the next thing about the transform effect is somewhat interesting. The transform effect has a lot of transformations in here. And what Illustrator does is applying them in the order they appear in this dialog box. So when you transform, then first it's scaled, and then it's moved, and then it's rotated, and so on. So if you need a transformation of first rotation and then scaling, so what you need when you do some isometric drawings, then you would first need to rotate and then scale. That won't happen. In order to do that, you need a second transform effect, which you can, of course, always do. So I have now rotated that thing, and then let's apply the second one. And Illustrator now puts up a warning, and of course we ignore this and say, yeah, I need a new one. And I want a 5-pointed star, so 360 divided by 5, and let's have 4 copies, like so. And then, of course, we need this small thing down here, which sets the point around which these things are rotated, like so. And there we have the star. So that's a nice thing. There's the star. And then I need to make this smaller. And I'm going to use the next transform effect because why not? You can never have enough transform effects.
And Dorina is saying, oh my God, it's like I'm rediscovering Illustrator. Yes, absolutely. Like looking into the appearance panel, and I invite every one of you who actively use Illustrator to have a quick deep dive into this appearance panel. For example, I use it a lot for text to apply like effects on text, like wavy effects or add fills and strokes to give it very, very special textures and things like that. And the cool thing about it is that just like in Monika's case here, we're talking about one vector point, but when I use the appearance panel, I use it on text, and that text remains live with all of these effects applied to it. So if I write Monika, for example, and I create all of my effects, I can select that text and write Rufus in it, and it'll have the exact same effects. So it's super useful to create repeatable effects and to reuse those. You can also save them, of course, as graphic styles and things like that, and also share them and apply them very quickly on other things.
Yeah.
And what I really like about all of these effects also, none of this is destructive. So these are all non-destructive effects.
That's the cool thing. And you can change your artwork until the very, very last minute. So the client says, I want this. And then you can, of course, say, that takes hours to do, hours. Pay me. And then do it in 5 minutes. That's so awesome about it. So I have now rotated that star so it matches my perspective. I've used the 3D rotate for that. And it's in the classic 3D effects, this rotate thing. So now the star sits in there, and we need another transform effect. So let's just transform it again. And apply a new one and move it slightly to the left and slightly up, so it sits in the middle of there, like so. And then we have this. So you can apply these effects in whatever order you desire. So some orders might be demanding to the processor, but just try it out. So the next thing I want to build is the cabin of this. And just last night, I had an idea on how to build something in there. So what we need is another fill, like so. And I created a new fill, but that new fill needs to be behind the cylinder. So let's move it in here. You can just move your fills and strokes around and stack them in a different order. So with this one, I'm going to convert it to a rectangle. And again, absolute. Let's have that larger. Okay, we're getting there. Like so. And let's apply the 3D effect, 3D classic, and make it like so, and get it, of course, into the perspective.
It's like sculpture, adding and removing things.
Exactly.
So you have to have a pretty clear idea of what you want to do.
Like 3D.
Yeah.
It's so cool. So let's transform it. So I need to see it. And again to the right. Okay, that's.
And Sandrine is asking, would every effect applied here work in a graphic style?
Yeah, they would all work.
Yes,
in the graphic style.
Actually, the whole appearance that Monika is working on can be a graphic style. So you can just click on a point and apply the graphic style, and it becomes a locomotive.
Yeah, it's so crazy. So what I want in here is I want a window, and I need to punch that window. I need to first create the shape for the window, and we have the rectangle, and now I need to insert it before the 3D effect. And in order to create my window shape, I need a transform effect and I need a copy. Create one copy, and this needs to be slightly smaller, like so. And I'm going to move it up. I'm not seeing it. I won't see it until I punch it. So that's here. And that transform effect got applied. No, not that one. It's this one, and I need it there. So this is the one that creates the copy, and it needs to be on top of the 3D. And in order to punch this, I need to use pathfinders, and pathfinders are also available as effects. So it's in here, and I'm just applying one. And then, you know, as often is the case with pathfinders, you need to try them out. So let's see which one it is. This one, not. It's this one. So, and there is the window. Okay. So next thing, I need a copy of this in order to move it to the back. So I'm selecting it, and I can drag it over here and have another one. And of course, it needs to be moved. So we need it there, and somewhat like that. So we have the cabin on the locomotive, and of course it needs a front. So let's duplicate this again to create the front, like so.
That's right, Lorena. So many hidden possibilities in Illustrator. Yes, and many of those possibilities are indeed in the appearance panel. And Sandrine says, I never saw the Pathfinder in the effects. Yes, and like, this is why I invite you all to open the Pathfinder and to check out all of the possibilities in there, because they might come in handy at any time during Illustrator creation process.
So there we have the front of the cabin, and I need to move that around slightly, and of course I need to move the other sides as well. So let's see, that is the back one, needs to be adjusted like so, and then this one as well, that needs to be like this.
And Gareth is asking, rather than to make new 3D objects where you have to remember the angles you set in 3D, can you duplicate the item in the list and change the objects it's applied to save time?
Yes,
Yes.
I have actually done that. For these things, I have all duplicated them. So you just highlight the item and then you go on this button, duplicate selected item, and then you duplicate the whole thing with all its effects. What you can't do is make a graphic style just out of this. So when you already have all these appearances, then you can't highlight this one and make a graphic style out of it or copy. So you can of course copy this effect also using this button and then move it around to another item. But then it might also get complicated. So you can do it, but it might get more complicated than just copying the what you already have.
And Kirsty is asking, how many years have you been using Illustrator, Monika?
Since version CS2. So that's 15 years.
Is this around the first times we actually met? Was it? No, it was.
I think it was later that we.
A little bit later, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I didn't enter the public space until, I don't know, 2012.
Oh.
So the first 4 or 5 years I worked in the hidden. Didn't meet anyone, only talked online. So yeah, let's have a new fill and build a roof for that cabin. Let's have that in red, or slightly like.
And Lorena is asking, how did you create the train on the right side, like the organic look of it? Like, this is simply a 3D effect. She extruded it, and that's the light that is shining on the 3D cylinder, Laura.
Yeah.
It's not a.
I didn't even edit it.
Illustration.
Yeah, I didn't even edit the light. I just left it. Mm-hmm. But we can take a look at that as well, because we will use some more 3D effects. Mm-hmm. So I want to build the roof, and of course convert it to a rectangle again. And
yes, Gareth, I think it's a good idea to name that train. Like, what would you call it? The Tim Choo Choo train?
Yeah, it has to be Choo Choo.
Choo Choo, right?
Choo.
Yeah. Tim the Tank Engine, yes.
The tiny tank engine, yeah. So in order to bend this, of course, I'm going to use envelopes. So they are warp arc like so. So we get a nice roof like this. And then another 3D effects. And when you have some more elements in this and then apply 3D effects or other effects that might cause Illustrator to do a lot of work, you need to be very careful what you have highlighted. So if I now apply the 3D effect, it gets applied at the bottom and it gets applied to everything that's already there. And that might break Illustrator. So I have to be very, very careful to really highlight the fill where it should go. So let's go to extrude and bevel. And there we have it. And there, let's first extrude it like so. And let's set the perspective. Maybe it needs to be slightly like that, and rotate it like so. And then we have the lighting, and the lighting is down here. So we have more option, and there is the lighting. I'm going to leave that alone for now, but there you can do it, and you can add more lights down there and adjust the lights and everything. So like so. And then of course we need transform effects to move that where it should go. And it needs to be moved horizontally and then vertically.
Boom.
So. Okay. That's it.
And remember, people, this is still one vector point.
Yeah, just 1 point.
And okay. For those of you who have difficulty in the chat to write something, I know, like I said at the very beginning, the gremlins are around. So if you would just click on info at the top of the chat and then come back to chat and try again, I think that'll work. But like I said, I will also look into the YouTube chat to see if anything's happening there, and it doesn't look like it. So very good.
So I have created another fill. I'm going to build a smokestack, and let's convert it to a rectangle. It needs to have certain height and then just very thin. And this one, in order to get this kind of cone shape, I need to first transform it. So let's just rotate it slightly. And then again, highlight it and revolve it. I'm always building it with the center to the right, like so. There is the smokestack. So, and then of course, another transform effect. And transform is also an effect that always gets applied at the very last position, because that's where it makes the most sense, of course. You first need an object before you can transform it. Okay, let's move it to the left and like so. There we have it, the smokestack. The next thing I want is this. I don't even know what it is, but it's
the boiler
on all of these engines. The boiler?
Maybe.
I don't know. I have looked it up for a tutorial when I was writing a tutorial, but I forgot. It was German anyway, so I don't know
Okay.
how it's named in English. And in order to build this dome-like shape, what you need is a quarter of a circle. And to build that, what you can do is use a stroke. So we need a new stroke. And of course, make this some kind of golden color. And in order to get just a quarter of a circle, we need to first create an ellipse, of course. All that size is okay. And then use dashes. So I'm going to apply that dash, and this needs to be exact. So make a shorter dash. I think we're getting close. That looks good. That's what we need.
So it will even be empty inside.
Yeah, it's empty inside, yeah, of course. And again, transform this. So let's rotate it. And then we apply again 3D, revolve like so. And this one needs to be, I don't know. No, I think that could be okay. Yeah, let's leave it. No, we can't leave it. That is not good. That looks like weird. And again, let's move it around.
So the whole discussion going on about what this thing is. So according to Kirsty, it is the boiler. According to Gareth, it's the top feed, the safety valve. Anything. It has steam in it.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
Yes.
Okay, there we have it. No matter what its name is, there we have it.
It's there.
We've created it. Yeah, and of course now we need, well, perhaps we should have some bottom part in this. So let's create another fill, and that should be at the very bottom. Let's make this red, because
the expansion chamber, Stuart. I think we're getting closer.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
That sounds very trainy.
Yeah. Okay, so
did you use Fresco for your sketch on the left, or did you do that on paper?
Yeah,
and photograph?
that's Fresco. I love it for sketching, and I'm using it all the time for that.
There you have it, Laura.
Okay, so there's the bottom, and let's extrude that. So now I can put it in the back again and move it around.
Incredible.
Okay. And then, of course, what we need is wheels. So let's apply some wheels. I need another fill. And let's first make a rectangle, absolute, and it needs to be like so. And I need to zoom in slightly. And again, I need a copy of that. Make this smaller. And I'm going to create that copy using the transform effect. So let's make a copy and let's make that copy thicker. Like so. And of course, it needs to be there so we can get the wheel. Applying 3D.
A lot of eye to
Revolve.
detail there, Monika. There you go. Yep.
And what I can't do, I want a real wheel. So what I can't do is make this 360-degree circle and then put the, I don't know what are these things called?
The spokes.
The spokes. I can't put them inside of it. So I need to build it from 3 parts, the wheel. Okay, that is too large. Yeah, like so. And then we make this, move that around. Okay. And again, move it where it belongs. Here. And it also needs to go down, like so, slightly to the right, and like so. Okay. And just another fill. Convert it to rectangle again, and I think it needs to be shorter. Let's see. Yeah, that looks about right. And then make some more of it. But yeah, maybe I can build this slightly differently than I planned. So what we can also do is this, and then use the transform effect and make some copies like this. Okay, that's great. And now, again, extrude and bevel. And then we apply a bevel because that needs to look slightly rounded, like so. Yeah, that's cool. They are too thick, but this is cool. This is nice. Okay. So what this does is make a lot of bevels inside of it, which is not cool and causes Illustrator to calculate a lot.
Still calculating?
Still calculating, still, yeah. So what we should have done is apply a Pathfinder effect. And I hope that Illustrator lets me do it. Not responding. So
too complicated.
Too complicated. I wouldn't have expected that. Okay. I think I'm gonna force it. Force quit. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, that's it. And
let's see when the last time it's saved.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to send a report. Good. That's okay.
That's okay. It was at the beginning of the wheel. Okay.
So let's do the wheel. Revolve
we
it.
have approximately another 30 minutes left. So I think it should be enough, right?
Yeah, that should work. So 180 and like this. Nope. So I'm adjusting this, you know, just by watching, and of course you can do that more precise.
Yeah, eyeballing it. That's called.
Just eyeballing it. Thank you.
And yes, of course, you can be super precise with, you know, with rotations and angles and pixel sizes.
Yeah.
Do really precise stuff.
But I have not tried this out before. I just thought it might work. I tried parts of it, but not the whole thing. So
well, so before you make the spokes again, let's save it.
Yeah. And I'm going to remember to use a Pathfinder this time. Okay. And now transforming it. I think we had 5. Move this to the side. Okay.
Yeah, Umakorn says second try, and as you know, as you all know, the second time around it always works better. Right,
okay,
Monika?
Let's have Pathfinder add in this. So these rectangles are all added after transforming, of course. And then let's see if it does it this time.
Did you save it?
Let's do that. Save it.
You never know.
I saved the wheel. I saved the wheel. So extrude and bevel. And that is nice. Let's set that to 6 overlike. No, that's too small. And let's make it rounded like so. So self-intersection again, but not as much, obviously. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have them.
Looks good.
And let's move them around. Transform. And get them inside of the wheel. Like so. Okay, so I have to adjust that perspective. And now I should, of course, look up how I have the perspective of the wheel. So maybe like this. And the wheel needs to be adjusted as well. Slightly. So it's kind of wonky. Needs to be slightly like so. And of course, it needs to be repositioned like this. And now we need a copy of that half of the wheel.
Oh, I see. Because otherwise it would
to
be
the front.
Yeah.
This is how we needed to do this kind of stuff back in the 90s, you know,
Yeah.
everything cutting apart, putting something in between and putting the other half on top. Doing it again, you know, sometimes it's good when you remember how you did things. Like so. Okay. And let's get this.
And it always cracks me up to see that little 1 point being selected.
So there we have the wheel. You get the idea. I could be more precise, but that's how to do it. So I won't make the other wheels because it's the same process, just making them smaller and everything.
You duplicate them?
I could try that. Let's select all the 3, duplicate them, and let's see.
Oh, but of course you can't group them. So
no, okay. That's not possible. So I need to find them. And now it gets messy. It gets really messy.
I didn't want to.
No, that's okay. That's okay. So I think I moved the wrong one around, but let's see. Yeah, something wrong there. Might be that I need this one. So still gone.
Never
that's
mind.
That's what I would do. Just copy it, and then what you can of course do is apply another transform effect and make the whole thing smaller. So I'm going to do it just with this one and apply the next transform effect. and then, you know, like 50% or the like. Let's see how that gets. Yeah, that's it. So there's the new wheel. Move it to the left, move it down, and yeah, that's how you get them. Maybe we have some more time, and then I could do that. So this Snowplow, you know, I could cheat to build this, but let's do it. Make another fill, and I could just build some rectangles which are parallel. That would be like cheating. Or I could make single rectangles that are all extruded and then adjust them, do it like that. So let's cheat. Okay. And let's have this extruded slightly.
Did the new 3D menus come with the latest update?
Yes, the latest update brought 3D in materials. So in order to get some more of them, I'm going to have the transform effect in there. What I could try, so let's have a transform effect and make 4 copies and move them vertically, like so. What I could try in here is rotate them slightly. So to get it like so. And have that here. And then, of course, rotate that. And again, to get it into the perspective I want. So, yeah, that even looks slightly realistic. Needs to be longer, maybe like so. Okay. And then get it to the left and down.
Then at the end, we apply a 3D effect to everything. And boom.
Yeah, and then we see what this Power Mac or MacBook is able to do. So, and be surprised. I don't know.
Yes, what this M1 chip is really about.
Yeah. Let's check it out, and if it doesn't manage, let's just send it back to Apple to, you know. I can't do Illustrator on this thing. What is this about? Okay. So this needs to be adjusted in space.
Well, and Tim is asking, did you get the M1, the M1 Pro, or the M1 Max?
It's not a Max. I think it's the M1 Pro. So I don't like the larger MacBooks. I like the smaller ones. So
do you use a screen as well, like a large screen that you attach it to, or?
Yeah, I can do that. It has an HDMI. It has ports. So this is a MacBook that has a lot of ports, and it has a MagSafe.
Yeah, this I can't wait till I get that back. Yeah,
that was my argument for getting it. It has a MagSafe.
Okay. Yeah.
And that is awesome. So there we have the Snowplow for the locomotive, and then let's get some smoke on top of it, right? Let's get into transparency with this. So it needs to be on top. So let's add a new fill, which is there. And let's make this in blue. And now we need a lot of circles, and maybe it should have some transparency or some gradient, perhaps. Let's give it a gradient.
Sebastian says, I love it how easy it looks when Monika does it. Yeah, well, it's just, it's training. Do it a few times, and I promise you, if you start learning about the appearance panel, you will be using it all the time.
Yeah, that's it.
Because it really makes your life easier as a graphic designer, just to repurpose styles, to tweak them. How many times have you created something that is destructive in the way that you apply filters or geometries to it, and then the customer or the client comes back and says, "Oh, I want it slightly over that way," and then you have to do it all over again. Well, with the appearance panel, it's just a matter of opening the appearances, making the correction, and boom, you're done.
So there we have the smoke, the first item of it. And let's move it. Up there.
And Carlos on YouTube says, gracias. I love the excellent work. Hi from Colombia. Hi, Carlos.
Hi, Carlos.
Alberto.
Okay. So I now need a couple of ellipses. And of course, what I can do is now have transform effects. So let's do it with a transform effect. Let's create some more of them. And with transform effects, when I make copies, I can, of course, move them around, make them larger, rotate them, something like that. Just experiment a little. So you see, there we have some, that's maybe too many of them, like so. But we can also make that differently. So what I can also do is make a stroke. And let's again use it like this and make it thicker. So let's make it like so. And let's make that a dashed stroke again. So have a gap in here, like so. But of course, I now need to convert this to a shape. Let's make an ellipse, and this needs to be rather huge. Yeah, that looks fine. Like so. And they are evenly ordered in here, but we can change that, of course, as well. So let's introduce roughen. And with that, I can, make a lot of particles, yeah. And, smash them around. And then in order to get this smoke-like look, what I can do is use, we haven't even touched the Photoshop effects. but with Gaussian blur, you can get this kind of smoke-like thing into it.
Whoa.
So that's the next thing, how to make smoke. Different method. And of course, this needs to be moved.
Can you use scatter brushes in appearances? Can you apply brushes to appearances?
Yeah, of course. I could do that. I think brushes is like cheating. So you could make this complete artwork as a brush and then apply it to the anchor point and you're done. But that would be,
so there is a way to cheat. Okay. I got it. So I can make all of my boxes and things as brushes and then come in here and make one point and apply those and I'm done.
And boom. Yeah, that's it. But of course you can use brushes in it. Yeah, sure. So there's the other method to make smoke. So let's make it rougher.
And Laura says it's an interesting perception for cheating. Well, yeah.
Yeah, brushes are really cool. I love them. I really love brushes, but in this case, I would feel like cheating. So using brushes, you could of course make very nice smoke, because then you could even vary the size of the dots, which is not possible in this case. So what you could do to vary this is use a width profile. So
but there's a good question here from Gareth. Is it chargeable to a client? If it's chargeable to a client, it's not cheating. And then Tim says, but I doubt any client would request your work as a single anchor point. Well, I think this is the answer to when the client wants the source file. You send the source file with a single anchor point. Done.
So
that would be fun. Sorry, you were saying about the brushes, right?
The different sized dots in that smoke. I'm going to turn off the blur. So you see, once I have applied a width profile to that stroke, the dashed line with a width profile, you get different sized dots in it. So.
That's interesting.
But the other method, of course, would be to use a scatter brush to do that. So there we have some smoke in this. So, and then of course we could build all these tubes on the side and all this stuff, which would again be circles that can be extruded and. That.
Well, I think we still have about 10 minutes. Why don't we do one of those tubes?
Like one of those tubes. Yeah, of course, a steel tube. So let's do that.
And they're making extremely bad dad jokes in the chat right now. And Tim is leading the charge, which really surprises me. But
okay, so let's.
And Gareth says, "Save, Monika, save."
So,
have you figured out how many times it saves? I mean, when it saves in the cloud? Every.
I haven't checked what I set up there, so I don't know.
You can set it, of course.
You can set it, yeah. So we've got the ellipse, and then let's apply the 3D extrude and bevel. Now I can't see it.
Do you use cloud docs mostly now, Monika, or?
I'm using them mostly to exchange stuff with myself. So
Okay.
getting
so
from
from
one computer to the other one.
Okay.
And that's practical.
Do you remember the times when, exchanging files meant also asking, what version of Illustrator are you using? Oh, wait, I have to downsave for you, or, like.
That's sometimes still the case. When writing tutorials, I often deliver the source files, and then I also hand them older versions down to CS6.
Oh, it's very thoughtful.
That's kind of that's safe to do. So CS6 is safe to do. You don't ruin too much providing CS6 files. So like so, we have some nice tube in there. And of course I can duplicate that, and let's move it. And
very nice.
Yeah. Like so. So maybe we can look at an example with the relative. I've got an example for that. The relative has also been in the Rathan, as some might have noticed. So
maybe before we do that, just humor me with going into the turning off the preview mode, just so we see the 1 point. So everybody in the chat sees there is no vector data there. Well, there is tons of vector data.
View outline, so there is.
And boom, and there is this one point.
Yeah.
Okay.
And let's get to the layers. They are actually at the side, so let's move that. There we have the layers, and in the layers you see there's just that sketch, and there's the point. So no cheating. Here are my hands. Okay. Let's go in here again. And I'm going to open that example. So that guy is nearing, and it's also built from one anchor point, but in this case, it's not one anchor point, it's actually a line. And when I move it, you see what happens here. And that's what happens
so fuzzy.
when you have the relative setting turned on. So here we have a Rathan effect, and you see there's relative and absolute again, and it adapts to the size of the object. And because this is not just one anchor point, but it was a line, and I actually made them on top of each other, that's why this happens.
Okay.
And it also has a practical use, of course. So when you want to draw something that should look like a scribble, so what you then could do, you have just normal strokes, just a stroke. And in order to make this look like a scribble, you can apply the outline stroke. Outline stroke is the same as this one in object, path, outline stroke. It does the same thing. And of course, you don't see it now because it's invisible. But when you now apply the Rathan, I leave it like this because it's now wrong. It is applied as the first effect, but I want it after outline stroke. And then what we can do is set a very low size, make this smooth and fewer detail. So you get nice scribbly looking lines. But the thing is now, when you make this relative, this is relative to the size of your stroke, which you don't want. You want these look the same no matter how long your stroke is. So you want these absolute. And now it needs to be slightly larger, of course. And now it would be no matter how long your lines are, they always look the same. So if I now draw something and let's apply this. I need to check both. So now it gets applied. And of course, let's turn on, or let's turn off. New art has basic appearance. And when I now draw something, so no matter how long, they always look the same. And if I set them to relative, those waves would be larger or smaller proportionally to the length of the stroke. So that's why the setting exists. It can either adjust to the size of the object or it won't.
Pretty cool. And I think this is also like a good way of, to set your some tools. And of course, this can also, endless hours of laughter in the office with practical jokes. You can set appearances on the default layer, and nobody will ever see it. And whoever uses Illustrator there.
You can set them on the layer, or you can set them as the default graphic style. So if you go into the graphic style and then you take this one and press the Alt key and move it over here, then this is now the graphic style.
Yeah.
The default graphic style. So the person who uses this will always get this scribbly.
Will never be able to draw a
straight line again.
A fine straight line again. Oh, and Tim asked, what is an office? Yes, of course, Tim.
Yeah. Pranking your colleagues gets difficult. Yeah.
I think, maybe, to wrap this up, I thought it was, it was a great introduction to the appearance panel, and also all of the possibilities that, that this specific tool opens for all of us Illustrator users. And maybe, to wrap it up, Monika, if we can maybe look at some other things that you've done. We've looked at the 30 days of type, and maybe there's a couple of more examples that you're super proud of that you did with one point.
I have some here. So I have, of course, done this, We've all seen
one point.
We've all seen it a lot. And yeah, this one.
This is
in order
complex,
to get these shapes, of course, you use a lot of the warp effects. So you warp it until it has the shape that you want, basically. And maybe some have seen this one. And this is an example of just one 3D effect. So with this one, I have first built the logo, and then there's only one 3D effect, which is applied at the very bottom. So when I take that away, then it's just the logo shape.
And these are the new shadows, right? From the new 3D tools in
Illustrator. That's the new 3D in materials in this case.
Well, Monika, thank you so much. Is there any last thing that you want to share with the community before we part ways for today, or?
I will finish the locomotive, and if you want to have the file, then just contact me. I put it up somewhere. I don't know where. Maybe I share the link on Twitter so everyone can have a look at it and take it apart, and you know.
And the Twitter handle for Monika is Vector Garden, Vector Garden with a T instead of the D. Can you tell us a little bit more about Vector Garden, or is that a long story?
that name just came about. I used it for the website of my book, and that's where I write longer text about Illustrator, and then I use that for everything else, for Instagram and Twitter and Behance and everywhere. So
Vector Garden it is. But I also want to remind you, Monika, that we do have a Discord server for the Adobe UK, Adobe Live. And that's also a very good way to reach out to the community and share things with our community. And of course, the Discord is where, and Tim just posted the link to the UK Adobe Live Discord channel into the chat. And that's a very good way to continue the conversation with, fellow designers from the community, our speakers, or guests here on Adobe Live, and maybe Monika will be sharing her file there as well. And also to remind you all, on Friday we have our next stream with Marco Pucci and Julia Zieger here on the Adobe UK Adobe Live. And it's all going to be about character design in digital painting. So on Friday at noon, from noon to 1, like every time here on the Adobe Live UK channel. So thank you for joining us. Thank you, Monika, for showing us your Illustrator magic using just 1 point. And hopefully I will be seeing everyone very shortly. Bye.
Thank you, and bye, everyone.
Bye, Monika.